What's up, y'all? Sorry, I don't know what that was. That was my clone or something. Episode 10 of Season 4. And it's a fun thing, because this is not what I would typically consider to be a great episode, but for some reason I really enjoyed watching it. I find a lot of other people saying the same kind of thing. My actual description of an episode like this, I like to call it a hanging out episode. It's sort of like watching the episode is like just hanging out with the characters. I think that's one thing that makes Season 1 so appealing. It's just that, you know, it's when you watch the episodes, especially episodes like Hearts and Minds, where there's a lot of different characters doing a lot of different things, it really feels like you're hanging out with the characters, which I think is awesome. It's almost like watching a YouTube video with them, sort of, which I don't know if that's bad or good, but I thought it was a pretty good episode. It's kind of a hanging out episode. Not a lot of real action or anything, but there was, like, you know, I mean, obviously the island plot consisted of Jack getting sick with his appendix, which doesn't sound pleasant. I don't know what I would do in that situation, because I don't think I'm the kind of person who usually tends to ignore pain, and I live by myself, so half the time I think if something happened to my appendix, I would ignore it for so long I'd end up being dead. But I don't know, it depends on how bad the pain is, I guess. It's kind of the same with cancer, as for all I know. Shoot. Anyway, I'm kind of hungry, so I'm going to make some mashed potatoes real quick. But there was this whole big story with Jack and his appendix, and Juliet got to step forward and play the role of the surgeon. Jack said he needed some kind of surgery done to him. And my first thought is, oh no, we're not going to go through this again, are we? Because when Ben needed surgery, it took him like 4 episodes just to get to the surgery, get it over with, and get past all of the, you know, the consequences of what happened there. It's funny, like when Jin and Sun started talking in Korean and they realized that Charlotte could understand them. Who would have thought Charlotte speaks Korean? We should have seen that coming, though, because in the first, you know, what was in the second episode, Presumed Dead, and her friend was asking her, and they were out in the Tunisia desert, and her friend asked her, how many languages are you going to have to read this in before you believe it's true? Charlotte said something like, I don't know, how many languages are there? I was pretty scared when I thought Kimi was about to find out about Sawyer and Claire, and they were hiding from him. I thought he was going to find them. You know, after, you know, as much as I hate that they killed Alex, it was a smart move for them to do that, because now it's like you don't know what's going to happen. When Sawyer, Sawyer and Claire were actually hiding in the woods, I thought there was actually a possibility he might find them. And if not for what they did in the last episode, I don't think this one would have been even half as suspenseful. Because the writers obviously have, you know, sent us a little message. They said, you know what, nobody's safe anymore here. So what else is there? The whole flash forward, we saw that Jack and Kate have got together now. Or at least in the future they get together. What I keep wondering is if this future stuff that we're seeing is not susceptible to change. Because that's the way they're making it look. And it makes me wonder with the whole flash forward thing. I kind of sort of don't feel real comfortable with them. Because there's no certainty that that's what's going to happen, the way they keep suggesting that, oh, well, Desmond could have changed something back here, so could somebody else change something? You know, and he actually did change the past for Daniel Faraday. I actually heard a really cool theory that, because we basically know that Ben is traveling through time now, so the theory is, well, what if Widmore is Ben's constant? You know, it doesn't have to be somebody that's a friend of yours, it could be somebody who's just familiar, and that's why Ben went to see him. Because if he hadn't done that, he would have gone all bloody and died the way that Mikowski did. If Jack is taking clonazepam in the future, well, now we know that the part of what drove him into doing that was the sight of Christian. And of course the smoke alarm, or whatever, or smoke detector, started beeping, which is what alerted Jack to his presence. I don't think they could have been any more blunt with that clue, and you know, I saw it right away when it started going off. I was like, ooh, smoke detector. It was a smoke monster. So those of us who have been speculating all this time that the Smokey got off the island, well, there you go. It's not just the Oceanic 6 now, it's the Oceanic 7. And Smokey is number 7, baby. I don't know what else to tell you. But it makes you wonder, did Smokey want Jack to start taking those pills? Because if Smokey, or whoever this is, whatever this is, had any kind of consciousness, you know, I mean, why is he revealing himself to Jack, and what did he want Jack to do? I really would have liked it if he would have had a chance to say something to him, but then that woman had to walk in and distract him, and then he looked back and he wasn't there, you know, and it's like, oh, crap, you know? Because it's like all this time he keeps appearing to these people, but then it's like he sends them messages telling them, okay, this is going to happen, or that's going to happen, or you can't do this, or you can't do that, but we never really find out why. It's like, why is the universal question. Why is Charlie appearing to Hurley and saying that they need him? You know, what does he expect him to do? If there's a way to get back to the island, why don't you actually tell them how that's done? You know, instead of making them feel so guilty because it's something that they obviously are unable to change personally or something. And Jack pretty much comes out and says that, well, Sawyer made his choice to stay on the island. So, little by little bit, we're getting little pieces of what's going to eventually be the final picture here, which is that some people get off the island and some don't. It's just a matter of how all that goes down. But man, heck if I know. I mean, is it really something so simple as, well, some of them leave and they just only have so much room on the helicopters, so that's why only some of them can leave? I mean, at this point, it doesn't seem like any of them can leave anyway, because when Saeed and Desmond left, look what happened to them. It's like, is that going to happen to anyone else who tries to leave? Because they're going to start jumping around in time against their will? How are they supposed to know who that's going to happen to and who it's not going to happen to? So Mr. Shepard takes off with the baby, you know, or seemingly like that. You know, she wakes up in the middle of the night and he's sitting there by the fire holding the baby, like, hey, check this out. It's like, is that what he's been looking for all this time? Because he could have done this anytime he wanted to. He's only doing it just now. There must be a reason for that. There must be a reason why he's doing it now and why he didn't do it back in Season 1. Because he was right there standing on the beach in the 4th episode of Season 1. It's kind of cool to see Bernard playing such a big role. Because, you know, on Jay and Jackson's contest they have about the last 5 episodes, you had to answer a bunch of questions about, like, how many episodes do you think Bernard will appear in? I actually answered 0 to that question, because I didn't think he was going to be in any of them. So far, he's been in both of them, the first 2. And I'm like, well, holy crap. One of the other questions is, like, how many times will Hurley say dude in the 5 episodes combined? I said 14, but I think he's only said it once so far in the first 2. I don't know. But I really didn't think Bernard was going to be in any of them. I thought, I don't know, maybe I just lacked faith or something. I mean, it's not that I thought the show wouldn't be good without him. I just didn't expect that they were going to find a role for him to play. And he's been kicking it, man. He's been contributing quite a bit as far as, you know, calling out Daniel on the Morse code lie last episode, and then this episode, you know, right at the very beginning, he's going after him again. He's like, dude, what is going on? Why are you lying to us? And Rose is getting in on it. I loved when she called Charlotte Red. That was hilarious. It's like, what did she say? She said, like, watch the tone, Red. It was hilarious. So, it's because, you know, it's such a Sawyer thing to do, to be calling her a name like that. You think it would be Sawyer. It's like, did she and Sawyer exchange role? You know, because now Sawyer is like this big brother character. That's the other thing. You know, and I always thought, as long as I've been watching this show, I've always thought that maybe they were trying to do something where characters switch memories or switch consciousnesses or whatever you call that. And I wonder if that's not what they're trying to do or something. Maybe they're taking certain aspects of people's personality and flip-flopping them randomly, and then they'll explain all that later so we can go back and say, oh, so that's what was going on. Because to me, if they're going to do a big reveal at the end, in order for it to pay off, it has to be something where you could go back to the very beginning and watch the episodes and, like, with this new knowledge, interpret several scenes differently. So I was thinking, what if the Oceanic Six actually do know that Smokey got off the island? And they know what it is that he does. And maybe that's what they're keeping quiet about. Kate says something to the effect of, you know, I'm not going to let you do this to my son. And he says, what do you mean your son? You're not even related to him. And when he says you're not even related to him, she would say, well, neither are you. But she didn't say that, which leads me to think maybe she does know that Jack is his uncle, which means he would have to know that. Now, a lot of people are saying that what she was doing for Sawyer was something involving the whole Cassidy Clementine thing. She said when she explained to Jack, she said, I was doing it for Sawyer. So what exactly was she doing? Was she keeping his secret? Or was she telling Cassidy that she found out it wasn't him? Or something? Because if any of that's going to play out, well, she's going to have to get this information from Sawyer before she leaves the island. She's going to have to get the information from him that he knew Cassidy and that he did give her the money, so that would even be relevant in the flash forward. Otherwise, you know, how would Kate know that Sawyer was connected to it at all? Unless Cassidy just came straight out and said, well, his name was Sawyer. And Kate would be like, oh, I knew that guy. He's on this. And that's the thing. Kate would come up and say, well, I knew that guy, but she wouldn't even be able to say that, because then Cassidy would say, oh, you know him? Where is he? What's going on? And Kate wouldn't be able to say anything because she's not allowed to say anything about him being on the island. Because then she'll get Cassidy in on it, and she'll have to go find the island, and then Ben's going to kill her. So maybe Ben is tapping their phone lines. And I mean, some people say that Kate is still working for Ben, just like Saeed is. And maybe that's why. I mean, obviously she hasn't, well, I mean, I don't want to put down Kate as a character or anything, but she has done a little bit of killing here and there. But it's strange now that Saeed would be so much more guilty about it than Kate would if they're both doing it. So yeah, I don't know. I just can't wait for next week. Next week's going to be awesome. I'm not going to say anything. I don't know anything really. All I know is who the episode is about. But anyway, so yeah, I guess I'll see you then.